Today I'm going to be doing a Type Me video using the questions presented by Peppermint Kiss. Okay, and question number 1 is, what makes you respect individuals, groups, or organizations? And the reason why I might respect any person or party is simply because they're honest. Honesty is a very important trait to have. If you are honest with the people that are, I guess, supportive, or they root for you or anything like that, if that's what makes someone to me worthy of respect. As long as you're honest. Yeah, just don't go around doing things that are shady or hurting people with your words or anything like that. Just be honest. Okay, number 2. What kinds of things turn you off about a person, a brand, or company, or particular environment? It really turns me off when people complain just about things that don't really need to be complained about. There's not a lot of things that really bother me, but that for some reason really bothers me. It's just whenever you're consistently complaining about things. I understand that people have to vent and stuff like that, and I don't see that as complaining as much as just if there's something that's happening that's kind of out of your control or really anyone's control. That doesn't make any sense to me. Why are you going to complain about it? So, alright, number 3 is, how good is your memory for detail? Specific conversations you've had in the past, little tasks that need to get done, what were you doing the first time you heard a song or tried a new food, etc. My memory is pretty poor, honestly. I don't really remember things all that well. If I have to rely on memory for something, it's probably best to turn it over to someone that was also with me. But usually I might not even remember who was with me in that sort of situation. There are a lot of times whenever I know that people might say, oh yeah, you were there with me. I remember you also did this thing with me that was awesome or boring or crazy or whatever. And I usually don't remember. I'm just kind of like, okay, well, if I was there, then that's cool. But I don't remember exactly. It must have not have made much of an impact. So yeah, if I had to, yeah, no, yeah, I guess there's no reason why my memory would be good that I can think of. I might remember random pieces of information that I've acquired over time, but that's about it. And usually that information is just kind of, I don't know, nothing that people need. So, number 4, what do you spend the most time thinking about? The past, present, or future? As far as recently, I haven't really been thinking about anything. I've kind of just been living life as it is, sort of thing. Kind of just going from day to day, doing the mundane tasks that I have presented before me, like work or, yeah, work. I don't really have much going on in my life right now, but I do know that I have plans for the future. That's about really all I can think about right now, because I do have a lot I need to get done before I turn, a certain age. I'm trying not to become old and not having anything accomplished. So really it's just the future. For currently my plan is to not be in this town that I'm in currently. So, I'm trying to figure out different ways to get out of it, and I have ideas, but I don't know how, liable they'll be, and often I'm worried about the failure of them, but they're still ideas regardless. Hopefully I can push forward and we'll see what happens. Um, the past is something I don't really think about unless it's something negative that happened in my life, like dealing with previous relationships. That's something that I don't like to think about, but it kind of comes into my head a lot. Um, but other than that, I might not be thinking about the past for any other reason than try to figure out what I might have done wrong or what might have happened that went wrong or what I could have done to make things better. So generally, yeah, just how things went wrong in the past. Um, Practical topics, relationships with people, theoretical concepts, issues of morality or ethics. I guess it's kind of depending on where I am at with my life. If I'm in a relationship, it's usually relationships or my relationship with that person, like an actual, relationship. Um, I don't really have a lot of friends right now, so I don't think a lot about different people or anything like that. More or less, my mind is kind of just drifting along with different ideas that I might have read about in different places, like, you know, um, general relativity or like um, reading about different philosophers and stuff like Kant and yeah, I don't know. Really, I haven't been thinking about a lot. Kind of been in a little bit of a bad spot for a few years of my life, so I haven't really been looking into a lot of things. But when I was good, it was when it was all theoretical or just the people that I was with, what we were doing, and how like my life with them would turn out and stuff like that. Or yeah. Do you find yourself floating on one thing, coming back to it, and trying to figure it out, or are you more prone to meandering through multiple tangential related topics? Um, if I really had to say, it would probably be along the lines of just kind of more or less a narrow mindset. I try not to have a narrow mindset, but it kind of is. It seems that way sometimes. What I believe is what it is, and I kind of just find myself with just focusing on one thing a lot, which causes problems for me because sometimes that one thing is really good and sometimes it's not. If it's good, that's awesome, but if it's bad, then not so much. Um, I guess really, I don't, I can't jump from topic to topic. I've met people that can do that, and that's not me. I don't know how they can do that. I could do that, I guess, if I was more or less stressed out, but that's not really me jumping from topic to topic. It's just pointing out different things here and there, and making connections to them really quickly without really even giving it thought. So I guess it wouldn't really be, anything to do with what's going on in my head. It's just more like observation. um, but that's generally just when I'm stressed anyway. I'm not good with that kind of stuff. Do you often daydream or space out? And when you do daydream or fantasize, what kind of things do you imagine and think about? um, Not being here. Well, first I should answer and say yes, I do oftentimes get lost in my thoughts. It wasn't like that when I was first working because it was easy to distract myself with learning all the new materials that I needed to learn in order to productively complete my job on time. But once I actually knew what I needed to know and was able to complete it in a timely manner, my mind started to kind of float off and just ignore what was happening in front of me. Um, so now with most stuff kind of just being like generally the same regardless of what job I go to, especially in a retail field, which is where I'm at, honestly. Um, yeah, I kind of zone out a lot, space out, and the kinds of things I think about really is just me leaving here, whether it's here specifically in this physical world that we live in, not in a suicide way. I don't want to die, but like this town that I'm living in, or I guess leaving, yeah, in this world and going off into another world, whether it's a time before now, like in the medieval times, or, um, or more fantasy-based time, fighting off dragons and stuff like that. It can be kind of cool. Or going to discover a new species of alien or something, something that's obviously not possible right now except through video games. But, yeah. So yeah, generally just not being here, regardless of whether or not that being here is actually in this town or not on this planet with, something else happening that's more extreme. Um, so, number 5. Think about a topic or two you're really interested in and like having conversations about. Do you think you would generally have more fun talking about that topic with an enthusiastic, curious listener who asks you lots of great questions, or do you think you would generally have more fun listening to an interesting, entertaining person talk at length about it and answer your questions enthusiastically? Um, I think I would like it if I could sit down and just listen to someone talk about something that I'm interested in. If I don't already have the information readily available to me anyway. Honestly, I'd prefer just not to be around people in general. It's probably not healthy, but whatever. But yeah, I would rather be listening to someone who could actually present it to me in a more interesting way, especially like something that I just thought of just now actually was, especially when I was younger, being in science science class and listening or watching Bill Nye, the science guy. Everybody knows him now with all of the crazy things that are going on in his life. But people should have remembered him back whenever he was, more entertaining than anything about science and trying to get you excited about science. It was enjoyable. Of course, I couldn't ask questions or anything like that, but it was still fun to watch. I'd rather just sit and listen. It's fun to listen to people be more enthusiastic about something, especially if I'm also enthusiastic about it. Um, and the last question: what were the topics you were thinking about? Uh, I didn't have any topics that I was thinking about. Um, I guess if I had to be the person, you know, or really listening to anything, I would really be interested in someone breaking down physics for me. Um, I like physics a lot, and a lot of it I grasp to an extent. I mean, I don't get the math behind it, but I get the ideas behind it, what they're trying to explain, and what they're trying to figure out with these different things, like Planck length and time, um, or quasars, and so on and so forth. I grasp where they're going with it, but I don't know the math behind it or anything. I'm not like super genius or anything, but I would like it if someone could actually explain that kind of stuff to me, especially like the idea about Planck time or time in general. The concept of time is an interesting one to me. Um, I don't think I got grasp it enough the way that they're explaining it, because the way they explain it sometimes just kind of seems like it's not right. But obviously, I'm not a theoretical physicist, so how could I know that? Um, Physics would be nice, or philosophy is a fun one too. I like to listen to people talk about philosophy. I personally enjoy listening to other people's personal philosophies because, if people abide by them, at least, if they say this is my philosophy and then they don't actually abide by it, that's not really your philosophy as much as just something that you think is a good idea, but you don't personally choose. But, yeah, so philosophy, physics, or more or less time based physics, anything revolving around time. But of course I could just look that stuff up myself. I just haven't gotten around to it because I'm here. Okay. Number 7. If someone is doing something that you strongly disagree with, how likely are you to confront them about it? I'm not very likely to confront anybody about anything. I'd rather just kind of like probably think to myself like that's not cool, but whatever. I don't care. If you do confront them, how do you usually tend to do it? Well, I guess in instances that I have had to confront people about saying, hey, this isn't right, or, what you're doing is pretty screwed up, that's when I generally will probably tell them straightforward. I say, hey, look, what you're doing is not cool, but then I'll probably also give them a way to fix it, depending on what it is. Like, how do you feel about this, and how would you feel if this thing was happening to you? Do you think this person really appreciates what you're doing, or would you appreciate it if it was um, being returned back to you? Obviously, because a lot of people I realize don't actually realize that they're doing something wrong until it happens to them. So, you know, try to put them in the other person's shoes. Um, Generally, whenever someone's doing something I don't agree with, it's towards another person to begin with. So, how does your answer change depending on how your relationship with the person and whether their actions directly affect you? If I know the person really well, I'm just gonna straight up tell them, "Hey, look, you're fucking up. Like, you need to stop. That's not cool." You know. Actually, no, I wouldn't. Honestly, now that I think about it, I'd probably still do the same thing. Just explain to them after thinking about it and think to myself, would this really help this person? Like, if I actually tell this person to do this thing, will they listen to me in the first place or not? You know. And if it directly affects me, if it's something that I disagree with, depends on how strongly I disagree with this thing. Which most things I don't really disagree with, but if it's something that directly affects me and I disagree with it, um, I'll probably stop talking to them. But only after I give them a few chances, like explain to them, like, look, that's not cool, you shouldn't be doing this, and then I go and do it again, and I'll say, hey, you really need to stop doing that, that's not cool, and of course, everyone's life is their own, so most things don't really directly affect me, because I'm not really involved in any sort of situations where something might or directly affect me, but yeah, so, um, great. How interested are you in trying new things, traveling, trying strange and exotic foods, going on roller coasters, jumping out of airplanes, things like that? Regardless of how interested you are, how willing would you be to do those things if someone had asked you to? And how often do you actually do things like that? Give examples. Okay. First of all, I'm very interested in trying things. I like to do things. Like roller coasters. I don't think I ever the first roller coaster I ever rode was somewhere between the ages of like 16 and 18 or something like that, maybe 19. I don't actually remember how old I was, but that was one of the most exciting experiences of my life. Of course, I was terrified, but at the same time, it just seemed like such an adrenaline rush, and most things don't actually like excite me unless it's something really exciting, like climbing a rock wall or roller coasters and stuff like that. And I like to be excited about that kind of stuff. I like to be excited about crazy things, So traveling's not so exciting because my family has moved a lot, so it has to be someplace that I haven't been, which is somewhere out of the states, um, which was where I live, United States. That would be nice. um, but regardless of how interested in those things, how willing would I be to do it? I would probably be rather willing, honestly. I'd be willing but fearful at the same time. I don't know if I would be okay with actually going through with something, especially if I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out in the end. But I mean, you have to think about it like roller coasters are built specifically to meet certain standards. So if I go on a roller coaster and it breaks, and I die, that's just complete pure coincidence, and I can't allow that kind of stuff to make me scared, because then I might miss out on an experience, which I've missed out on a lot of experiences before with that kind of mindset. So I'm really trying to work on that. But it's here now. Here I am now. Um, but yeah, I would be willing to do it. It might take me a little bit of a pep talk, I suppose. But I mean, I'll be there. Maybe. How often do I actually do these things? I don't do it a lot. Like I said, like the last time I rolled, first and last time I actually rode a roller coaster was around somewhere from 16 to like 19 or something. I don't remember, but that was the last time I actually did anything insane or crazy or exciting. Well, no, actually, I climbed a rock wall, free climbed a rock wall, like 3 years ago, I think. Yeah, 3 years ago. Um, that was pretty exciting. No, yeah, it was 3 years ago. Whatever. That was pretty exciting. I suppose I got stuck, so I got a little worried, but in the end, I made it through. I realized that I can't just sit there and do nothing at all. So yeah. Anyway, number 9. How would other people describe your demeanor? How emotional do you seem to people? How rational? Do you tend to be quiet and reserved, or more loud and talkative? Do you seem to choose your words carefully, or talk stream of consciousness? Or do you sometimes think so fast you stumble trying to get all the words out? Do you tend to finish your sentences or skip to the next sentence in the middle of the one you're saying, or skip to the new topics entirely? Do you interrupt? If so, when and how often? How do you feel if someone interrupts you? How often do you feel like you have so much energy you can't sit still or need to be up and moving? How hard is it for you to get out of bed in the morning or to get up after relaxing for a long time? Okay, well, that's a lot of questions for, one question. um, so, uh, I suppose if someone had to describe me as a person, I'm generally not a very talkative person, but I am really easily approachable. You could approach me about most things. Like, I'm open, and it's easy to talk to me about things, and I'll try to give you my advice. Or if you just need someone to listen to you, I'll listen. Of course, depending on how you're coming at me is how I'm going to approach that situation. But yeah, I tend to be more quiet. I'm not going to say a lot unless I know you really well, in which case I'll be pretty talkative. I'll have a lot to say about things, probably ask a lot of random questions that don't really fit into what's actually happening around me, but I don't really care because I'm not really concerned with what's happening around me in the first place. Um, do I seem to choose my words carefully or talk stream of consciousness? I think, at least as far as this video goes, it depends. Like, if I'm just kind of talking, sometimes I'll just talk just to talk. Like, um, well, let me rephrase that. Maybe not just to talk, because I don't want to talk out loud for no reason at all, but, like, I'll talk without really giving much thought to what I'm saying. It's just generalized things. I might say a comment here or a line there, usually the same things that I'll say a lot, like this random stuff, I guess, that I've come up with. Um, yeah, I think it really depends. Like, if you ask me a personal question, I have to think about it because I'm not sure. And if I do know, then I will tell you when I do know, type thing. But I have to think about it a little bit. But if it's just random, like, hey, where do you want to eat? You know, actually, even then, I won't know. I'll have to think about that too. So, but that's not me choosing my words. It's me choosing the place that I want to eat. I don't know. I guess probably just talking more stream of consciousness. Um, but yes, I do relate to talking or sometimes think so fast that I stumble trying to get all the words out. Like, if I have to, if I'm really excited about something, definitely. If I'm really excited about anything and I'm trying to, like, put it out and explain it to everyone, then, yeah, I'll just be uh, trying to say what I'm what I'm thinking about or whatever, and then I'll realize that there's this other point that's actually really important to this first thing, that I'm trying to say, and so then I'll stop mid sentence and put out another word and like realize that I'm trying to pick up another point while not even finishing that sentence. That doesn't make any sense. Well, I guess that answers the next question. Do you tend to finish your sentence or skip to the next sentence in the middle of the one you're saying, or skip to new topics entirely? Well, I don't skip to new topics entirely. I try to stick to what I'm talking about because I don't want there to be any confusion. Like, a lot of times I'm talking to my sister and she can skip around really easily, and a lot of times that kind of that's not really confuses me. Like, I can follow where she's going because she's my sister. Um, but at the same time, like, I don't know how she does that. I'm pretty impressed by it, honestly. I'm like, man, you got 30 different tabs open in your brain, and I'm just, that's crazy, you know. Um, yeah, I tend to skip to the next sentence in the middle of the one I'm saying. I'll mainly just to try to get my point across, but it's generally within the same idea. Um, but that's only, once again, if I'm actually excited about what I'm talking about. Usually, whenever I'm talking about something, it's mainly just work related or something, because, like, I don't have a lot of friends or anything like that. I'm usually just going to work and coming home, so I mean, what is there to talk about at work? So, um, how do you feel, or do I interrupt? No, I do not interrupt people. And with that same, or with a follow-up question, I don't interrupt people because I don't like being interrupted. If someone cuts me off in the middle of a sentence or just kind of interjects with something real quickly, like, this doesn't make much sense to me. I don't really understand why somebody would do that. And so I don't like being interrupted. And so I definitely will not interrupt people because of it. I've never interrupted people before, and I've only recently started to realize that a lot of people are actually really prone to interrupting other people when they're talking. And I don't talk a lot anyway, so I feel as if because I don't talk a lot, you should at least afford me a little bit of time to put forth my idea without, just interrupting me or cutting me off or jumping into a whole entire new topic that I can't, relate my first topic or whatever I'm talking about at that time to. So yeah. Um, how often do you feel like you have so much energy you can't sit still and need to be up and moving? How hard is it for you to get out of bed in the morning or get up after relaxing for a long time? Um, I can sit still for a long time. I like to sit still, mainly for thinking purposes. But it's not really like I'm sitting here, there thinking to myself, I need to sit still so that I can think. It's more like I am sitting still because I'm thinking. That's the best way to put it. You know. Um, yeah, I don't really have like a lot of antsiness. I might move while I'm sitting still, but it's mainly for comfort reasons or to like, as you can see, I'll move my hands a lot. Explain things with my hands. Um, yeah, generally I don't really need to be getting up and moving anywhere. But if you want to go do something, if I'm with someone and they want to go do something and they're like, hey, let's get up, let's go do this thing. Um, Even if I've been sitting there and relaxing for a long period of time, I'm always down to go wherever we're going. I don't care. Um, well, okay, maybe not always down. I don't want to go to like the store, like for no reason except maybe buying stuff. That's pointless to me. I don't really care about it. I don't like shopping or anything like that, so I might not want to, and I'll just tell them no. But if you, or even if I'm just personally by myself and I think to myself, you know what, I want to get up and go on a walk. I've been meaning to go on a walk all day and I haven't yet. I can pick myself up and go on a walk. But generally, most of the time, I actually don't really do anything like that because I've been more or less, once again, kind of just in a slump for a few years now and haven't been really doing much with my life anyway. Um, yeah. So, are you involved in any creative activities or projects? What are they and why do you like them? What are your goals in these areas? What have you felt the most proud of or satisfied with? How likely are you to finish a particular project you start? Um, I guess out of projects, the only thing I can think of is personality theory. That right now is my what I'm focusing on, what I've been reading into a lot. Trying to understand what the cognitive functions mean to me and to other people, and try to see how I can relate certain functions to certain people. Um, I guess I like it because I like people. I like understanding people. I like to know where they're coming from a lot of times. That way I can, if something comes up, I can explain it to someone else. That's where they're coming from. You need to take a step back and really just look at the situation. You know, I guess I don't really have any goals in these areas except, or in this theory, I suppose, except to just kind of really see if I can accurately type people just by watching them for a few days, few weeks, maybe. Um, that would be interesting. But what have you felt most proud of or satisfied with? I'll definitely say that I've felt satisfied with um, typing my sister. Um, I don't know if I've accurately typed her, but I'm fairly certain that I've at least narrowed her type down based upon her cognitive functions. I'm fairly certain she is an NE dominant, but I also think she's a FI auxiliary, so ENFP. I'm fairly certain that's what her type is, based upon how she reacts to people and things, and watching her express her ideas, especially whenever she gets into her TE and such. You know, I like to see how that operates, but at the same time, I'm not so sure if I actually understand the cognitive functions well enough to say I've accurately typed her. Yeah, so um, well, this isn't really a project that you can finish, I suppose, but I guess to me, if I had to put a finish line on it, it would be whenever I accurately and coherently um, understand the cognitive functions, and I haven't done that yet, and so I'm going to keep researching. Um, but the only reason I'm going to finish this is because I enjoy this theory that I'm reading, you know, and so I'm very likely to finish this one, but it's out of enjoyment that I'm finishing it. If I don't enjoy something, I might not finish it unless it's something that's required of me as well, like work related or whenever if I do get to go to college, which I hope I do. I'm working on that. Yeah, I will be obviously finishing every project that comes my way in order to maintain good grades and actually get something out of it. You know. Yeah. So number 11. Um, I'm not too concerned with whether or not that's answered, so I'm not going to answer. Yeah. Besides, this video has been long enough. So with that, thank you for anyone that watches this video. I'm sorry that it's 31 minutes. I tried to make another video earlier, and it actually turned out to be 55 minutes, and so I decided not to post that one. But if you want to watch that one, and you managed to watch this one all the way through, I will definitely send you the link. But yeah, so thank you and farewell.